Hey everyone, welcome back to Shaggy's Car Shop. On tonight's episode, it's Bellhousing installation night. So this is a SFI rated QuickTime Bellhousing. I'll put it down in the description what the part number is to get one of these to a Cadillac engine from a T56 Magnum. But without any further ado, let's get after it. Alright everyone, so this is the driver's side of my bottom of my engine block. So the bell housing I got is adapted for a starter to be on, because it's a multitude of different engines. It's Buick, Pontiac, Olds, Cadillac. It's got a starter bump on the bell housing, and this plate has a hole for a starter on the driver's side and passenger side. Now obviously my starter is not here. I've looked for plates to cover these with no avail. They might make them. I might have just missed something. But what I'm going to do is make a little template so I can make a little block off plate, just because I don't want any crap going back in here. So that's going to be my first step on this. And then once I make my template for this and cut out the metal piece for this, I can use the same template to go around where the starter is on the other side, so I shore up some of the extra gap, because I think that starter stops about there and there's a pretty good gap in there, so I don't want any crap or water, dirt, rocks, whatever getting in there, because I mean this is all where your road grime will get up and in. So let me grab a piece of cardboard and a pen and I'll show you how I'm going to do this. Alright, so all I did was get a random piece of cardboard, and let me get this about like that. So since I already have this plate, now if you watch one of my videos and you have one of these, know to do this before you have it on the engine. This is an afterthought, so all I'm going to do trace around and then trace out my bolt hole so I know, and then I'm going to trace the outside of it as well, at least for part of it. So there you go. I don't know how well that, there you go, now you can see it. So right here is where my bolt hole goes through and down around, and then I'm basically going to cut the outside of this out and try and find something that matches the dimensions, and just cut a little plate out, drill the hole, and then slap it up here, because these bottom bolts are just to hold the bottom of this protective plate onto the bottom of the bell housing. So we will come back to this. Alright everyone, I was communicating with somebody on that had a couple of questions on what I was doing, or thanking me for doing this, and I don't remember if I mentioned it in the first video when I started getting all of my clutch, my pressure plate, my flywheel, all of that in here. So obviously my clutch alignment tool is in here, and that is going into my pilot bearing. Now if you are going to do one of these Caddy engines over to a manual transmission, make sure that when you take your crankshaft and everything to the machine shop, you let them know what type of transmission you're getting, or you're going to put on there, and what the size of the input shaft is, so they can machine out a spot for your pilot bearing. Because these Cadillac cranks, they never made them for a manual transmission. It was all automatics. And I mean, I suppose you could do it for a bushing or a bearing with a drill, but I don't know how centered and everything you're going to be. I left it up to my machinist. He actually cut the spot out and installed the pilot bearing for me. So I have been good to go since that. Now granted, that was, I don't know how many years ago. I think I built it in 14. But he did all of that. So if you're looking at building one of these and doing this, please ensure you do that. I just want to do that on a little side note since somebody reminded me of it. And I didn't want you guys to get to this point and be like, my transmission doesn't work, doesn't go in. Yeah. All right, let me grab this bell housing and we will get it up here and grab some bolts. All right, I'll be right back with you. All right, everyone, here we go. Try not to smash my fingers. And just like that. Now, is what I found is my bolts that I'm going to use. These are 3/8 by 16 flange head bolt because I didn't want to have an extra washer just in case I need to take this off wherever it is in the car. They're grade 8 bolts and they're zinc plated. So yeah, I'm going to get these all in and then get them torqued down to 35 foot-pounds. I couldn't really find super duper torque specs on all of these, but I know as far as holding the torque, if you're worried about snapping a few 3/8 bolts, go with grade 8 like I did, but most of your pressure or all of your pressure is held off of your alignment dowels. These just hold your bell housing up to it. But let me get these all started and then we'll get them all torqued and we'll go from there. All right, so I got them all snugged up. My flange head bolts I found fit on the top two and the next two down. I had to go back to just my standard 3/8 grade 8 bolt with a washer to fit it in here just because of the way this bell housing is made, but that's all right. I had them from when I was mocking this up, so those are the ones below the alignment dowels. So let me go through and torque all of these 35 foot-pounds, and then let's see, after that I think we'll try and build one of these templates and see what we can do. That one's being real stubborn, so I guess we'll snug it up like that. Just kind of take another one and again, torque on here, I just don't want them to come loose. It's not super duper important in my eyes. One other thing on these bolts, don't get any longer than 1 inch because all of them except this top one right here are what do you want to call it, they dead end into the block. So if you are running a longer bolt and you're trying to tighten them down, you run the risk of cracking that ear or the tab or getting into the water jacket. This is the only one that has threads all the way through and opening on the back. So be cautious of that. All right, let me get this template cut out and scribed onto a piece of steel and kind of go from there. All right, everyone. So I started out with this and now I have this. So it's just gonna go on here about like that, cover up that hole. I'll lay a real small thin coat of silicone around there, bolt it on with this bottom bolt here, and we'll be good to go. So a few other things. There is 8 of these 3/8 bolt holes that go all along the bottom. I'm not going to show you guys me putting that in because it's kind of tight down in there. But all I did was get, again, some grade 8 3/8 by 16 1-inch bolts. I got a washer because they were out of my flange head bolts, so I got a washer for each side, and then I got some nylock grade 8 nuts to go on the back side, so that way I don't ever have to worry about them spinning off. I can just tighten them all up all along here, good to go. And then I'll save the end tube for last, put that in there, and I'll be good to go. And then on the other side, I'll have to make a modified one of these, you know, cut it off and up so I can just cover up the gaps of the starter. And then my bell housing will be complete. All right, folks, I am going to paint that plate up and get working on the passenger side one and get these bolts in. And that will be it for tonight. So let me bring you right back. All right, everyone, that's it for installing a T56 bell housing, or Buick Pontiac Olds Cadillac bell housing on one of these big block caddies. Next up is going to be, I think, setting up my throwout bearing on this clutch, and then on the front of the T56. And then after that, once that's all set up and good to go, then I guess the last thing left to do is mate it up here where it's going to live. And then I have engine and transmission together. And then, well, hopefully by then, my garage will be finished, cleaned up some, and I'll have a Firebird back. No word yet. I think we're, what are we? Oh, I'm a couple of weeks ahead on filming, so we're about 10 days out from Christmas, so never know, maybe I'll get an early Christmas present. I'll have to give you guys a sneak peek, but other than that, that's it for tonight. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.